There are several different options and uses for having multiple leases in the SiteLink program. Log into the Corporate Control Center and click on Forms. If you have multiple locations, you can clone or copy a lease or leases from one facility to another. For example, I can select all and click Next, and I could take the leases or forms from Site 1 and put them in all of my other sites. Click Next. If you click Clone, you would be taking all of the forms from Site 1 into the other sites, but we could click on Lease 1 and save it, and it says this change will be applied to all of our selected sites. Click OK, and now Lease 1 will be in all of the other sites. You can have up to 6 different leases. Why would you potentially want to have multiple leases? Lease 1 could be your normal lease, or your lease that you typically use for self-storage units. Maybe lease number 4 is for RV parking. Maybe you have a different lease for RV parking. The biggest takeaway from this video is knowing that you can have multiple leases that are edited the way that you want. The names could be renamed. Lease number 2 has been renamed. We can highlight that, click Edit, File, Save as New Form, and call it Lease number 2 again. Click OK, and now we have our Lease 1 through 6. Maybe you have different lease verbiage for different states. Maybe Lease 1 is your New Jersey state lease. Lease number 2 is your New York state. When we close this screen and go back to Forms, you notice that we had our location numbers. If you have multiple locations, you can speak to your implementation specialist and potentially ask for what we call an L setup. If you had an L setup database here, this would allow you to have your default forms that you want to clone to each of your states or different sites. So maybe, to use that previous example, we have half of our sites are in New Jersey, half are in New York. If we get a new site, we could click on L setup or click on one of our sites for that respective state and then bring over or copy and clone a lease or leases to that site. You can assign leases to different unit types. If you go to Unit Management, Unit Types, click on our site or sites, click Next, Next again. You'll notice that in this particular case, apartment is Lease 1. Maybe apartment should be Lease 2 if you click Edit and then put the number as 2 or anywhere up to 6. Click OK. And now apartment, when a unit is moved in that is a unit type of apartment, SiteLink will know immediately to process lease number 2. By using the Corporate Control Center along with having access to up to 6 leases, pick and choose what lease you want to use by site, by state, and or by unit type for extra flexibility and options when moving in default leases within the SiteLink program.